Fellow Southern Cameroonians, I am delighted to once more come before you all this day. Today is the fourth day of the month of April in the year of our Lord 2018. We have just come out of the very important Easter season. Very important because it is a very momentous period in the lives of Christians. It is a period for spiritual rejuvenation. It is also a period where a lot of people make a kind of break with the past and set off a new beginning. Today, I'm coming to talk about a very important thing that is happening in our revolution. I think there are a lot of things that are taking us aback. In the past, we had the capacity to respond in real time to any threat from wherever to our revolution. But today, more and more, we have become complacent, really complacent, because a good lot of us are already believing that we have won this battle and that we should simply relax and be reveling in the victory. But I want to shock you by drawing our attention to the fact that this battle is just beginning. It really hasn't gone anywhere. Let us remind ourselves of the importance of diplomacy in this struggle. While we're out here tearing ourselves apart, while we're out here pointing fingers at one another, La République du Cameroon is busy undoing all the victories we have secured in the early days in the diplomatic arena. They are busy changing the narratives in all the places where we had gone to and presented the facts real as they were and as they are. While they are doing all that, we are concentrated in doing things that may necessarily not take us to Boya. Let me be very clear on this. I received a document from Yaoundé, and that document frightens me very much because I ask myself if we are really prepared to face what is coming up. In 1961, the international community, let me call it the international community that way because I call the United Nations all those who ganged up against us in the United Nations international community. They came together and sealed our fate, frustrated our future, sold us into slavery and servitude to La République. 57 years after, when we get up and we are wrestling, fighting to break loose from that entanglement, they are once more here because their interests are more primordial than our own interests. And it is important for us to always draw their attention to the fact that you can force a horse to the river, but you will never be able to force it to drink water. And that has to be done in a very loud, clear, and triumphant manner so that it sinks into their brains. We will not achieve that by fighting each other, by presenting to them that we're a bunch of people who cannot even be organized for 1 second, even just around one objective. The document that I received indicates very clearly how these Western powers have come together and planned a new strategy to enslave us and make sure that we never ever have the opportunity of rising again to demand that which, to ask for that which belongs to us. According to this document, the French government has carefully crafted and is working behind the scenes to convince the United States of America to adopt that document and to convince the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland to also support that document so that they all come out now and gang against us. And the signs of what is contained in this document are out there already. According to this document, the French are planning to impose on Cameroon a 4-state federation. They have observed and are clear that the so-called effective decentralization of 10 states will not work, will not be accepted, will not be swallowed. The second point is they are also admitting that a 10-state kind of federation or decentralization kind of thing with elected assemblies and governors and everything is going to be extremely costful for La République, and that some of the regions now if transformed to be autonomous and on their own and all whatnot, may not have resources to be self-sustaining. And that is really going to pose a problem. For that reason, they say to make sure that they bite into the federalism narrative and build a federal base that will, easily get into all of this, they now want to come up with a four-state approach. I'm sure a good lot of us listened to the first secretary at the French embassy in Yaoundé give hints. They were just hints. But the real truth is, this is what they plan to do. Create a state which will bring together the north, the far north, and the Adamawa region. Of course, they are culturally linked. Naturally, that state stands with no problem. Bring the next state that will bring together the center, the south, and the east. Of course, they are also culturally linked. No problem. But the next state will not be littoral and west, because they say the argument is the people of the littoral and the people of the west, the culture is not the same. They have a lot of things that don't really bind them together. So for that reason, the other two states will involve the northwest and the west, because as they hold it, the people of the northwest and those of the west are all grass fielders, share a lot in common, and so it will make sense for those two entities to form a state. And then the next will be the littoral and the southwest, because the people of the littoral and those of the southwest share a lot culturally in common that they will naturally fit together. The key objective of this breaking is not just for the sake of peace in Cameroon. It's because they want to move to the next stage of our assimilation. Since they could not obtain it in a unitary state, they now want to change words to make us believe that the ideological difference of going to federalism and then giving us some autonomy and all whatnot is going to help. And the real thing is divide the northwest and the southwest. Put them now in other little structures where they know the majority population of the littoral will dwarf the people of the southwest region. The majority population of the people of the west will dwarf those of the northwest region, and make sure that at the end of the day, what they could not achieve in a unitary state, they will achieve now following this particular pattern. This explains very vividly why you had that outing by the first secretary at the French embassy in Yaoundé. That is why the United Kingdom is getting more and more prone in that manner to see how they push, that kind of narrative into our minds to perpetuate what they had done way back in 1961. That is why the United States of America is now trying to bring various stakeholders together and find out coyly if at all such an approach could find roots in our midst. This is a serious danger. We have to fight it very hard before we suddenly find the international community coming to tell us they want to organize a referendum which will involve all Cameroonians around this kind of project. That would be calamitous. And how do we face off against this? It is not by bickering in our various Facebook or WhatsApp groups. It is by coming out like we have done before. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate our brothers and sisters who took the pains to go even in the cold and stand on the streets of New York around the United Nations premises to once more demonstrate, to once more show, outrage at what is happening on the ground. We have to multiply actions like those across the world. And this time, the message has to be clear and very sound that we will not, I repeat, that we will not accept any form, any kind of association whatsoever again with La République du Cameroun. Make them understand that if this is what Britain and France consider to be the linkages, they should have done this in 1916. They should have done this in 1919. They should have done it after 1914 when they defeated Germany and took over German Cameroon, who was larger than the current Cameroon that we have, and shared it the way they shared. They should have taken into consideration these cultural linkages at that time. If they did that, we would not be here today. It is not today that they continue feeling that they will keep denying us that freedom, which is our inalienable right, by using such fake pretenses. Let us be wise. Let us arise those entities, those individuals, those frontline movements that generally came out with very strongly worded releases and sent to various international bodies and sent to various influential superpowers should resume work. This is what we need to do at this time. They need to already be knowing that we will not accept this. So we should nip it in the bud. This is the time for us to address it. We cannot wait until when it takes root and then we come from behind and start saying, no, those people, Barrister Bala and others do not speak for us. They are Southern Cameroonians. And if the international community chooses to call them and talk to them, there is nothing you can do about that. But the one thing we can do, that we have the power and right to do, is to say their ideas don't represent our general ideas. Their ideas don't represent the thoughts, the feelings, and the aspirations of the majority. And the only way to do that is to go out there, say it loud and clear, on placards, on all manners, on flyers. We shall do it, even by writing those strongly worded releases that we did before and send them to those offices. And again, I have said this. My last communication was dedicated to the Never Again campaigns. And until this day that I'm talking, we're yet to attain 10,000 signatures. Sleep in your houses. Ignore these calls. Sabotage them even. Go out there, condemn them because they are not coming from your group, because they are not coming from the group that you support. One great morning, you get out and find that we have failed because of such attitudes. There is not a single organization that holds the monopoly of the best idea to take us to Boya. There is not a single individual that holds the monopoly of the best idea to take us to the promised land. Every initiative counts, and every initiative that does not hurt us should be supported. That is the opinion I hold, and that is what I say. That is what I insist we need to do. Now let me do a little address to Atanga Ponji's fictitious peace plans that is carrying around, at the same time with guns, with Kalashnikovs and all of those things. At this point, I just want to laugh because it's already paradoxical. The mere image tells the story by itself. We should not let ourselves to be carried away by such stupid statements by someone who had been clear, very triumphantly clear, that there is no such thing as an Anglophone problem. So what negotiations does he want? He's bringing peace plans to make peace over what? Mr. Paul Biya declared war against us. We never declared war. They started fighting us, killing us. We never responded. Today, we're only defending ourselves. At this point, let me doff my hat to our boys on the ground who have refused to die and are defending themselves relentlessly. Now, let me say this, and this is the Atanga Ponji mantra that I'm bringing out to you here. Atanga Ponji is that one human being whose operational methods are crude, evil, and terrible. Atanga Ponji will organize groups. I said this in the video that I published on the 25th of December. And I recall that at the end of that video, I had a lot of insults, but people never bothered to look at the content of that video. I said there were going to be a lot of satellite groups coming up claiming to be defense forces for Southern Cameroons. They will execute exactly what the government wants them to do. The government doesn't care about causing a group to kill about 50 or 70 soldiers just to convince us that they're a genuine group in order to use them to infiltrate us. And then in order to use those groups to do evil practices that would then be presented to the international community as being practices that we are carrying out. That is why today we're only hearing that some tourists, Italian tourists and all whatnot, and some Cameroonians were kidnapped when they went to visit the Twin Lakes in Kupingwanenguba. And that eventually the government released them. Government forces fought and released them. Did anyone hear any of our defense groups announce such kidnappings? By the way, that is not the operational mode of the Ambazonian fighters. You have found out that these gentlemen don't fight civilians, unlike La République terrorists who burn down villages, burn down people alive and the likes. Let us continually go out there, use every means we have to sell our story. Use every means we have to defend our positions, to say exactly what we want, what we stand for, and how we hope to obtain that which we believe in strongly and that which we stand for. Now, let me say this. I was shocked to read a release condemning a fellow colleague in the revolution for authorizing the killing of somebody who was arrested by our defense forces. My disgust with the whole thing here is, I wonder if at all it has even been investigated and it is confirmed that that delegate has actually been killed. I'd like to remind us all here that when our leaders were picked up, in the background, some of us social activists agreed to come out there and announced that they were immediately killed because we wanted to force La République du Cameroon to show them to us, to let their lawyers have access to them, to show to the world that they are alive. La République never even got moved after that until this day. Now, at the slightest opportunity that La République uses the same prank on us by publishing that, oh, that delegate has been killed. He was killed almost a month ago. And all of those things, we immediately fall in the trap and start scattering ourselves, start insulting ourselves, start telling ourselves all sorts of things. Have we investigated to find out the origin of that message that the delegate has been killed? Where is his body? Who has seen his body? Has his family indicated that I have received his body for burial? I think we have to be serious. We have to stop convincing ourselves that we have already won this war, and so we should just, be sharing positions and getting into reveling and enjoying that victory that we have already had, whereas we are simply a pleasure boat on a turbulent sea. The time for celebration has not come. The time for celebration is still right ahead. Now is the time for work, hard work, real work. Now is the time for each and every one of us to get out there and do what we know we must do to move this revolution forward. Thank you very much. God bless us all.